Okay everyone, I actually am at the last stitch of row 9, so I'm going to join my row to complete it first before we go on to the next step. Okay. So like I say, always pull the last stitch very taut to minimize the gap over here. You can see some of them actually has a slightly bigger gap. Okay, so this is the first stitch of the row. I'm going to poke through the hole here. Can you see it? This hole here. Okay, I'm gonna pull through, pull it tighter. And then okay, so the slip stitch is done, and then I'm going to also do the standing stitch, and then I usually will actually finish up with the first stitch of the row first, knowing that there is no changes to it. So as to make sure it's secure and I can actually put my marking, you see. Okay, the first stitch of row 10 is done. I'm going to just mark it first. And then, okay, because I'm not going to do any work first, I'm going to pull this out a lot more than usual so that, you know, I won't accidentally lose my stitch here while I'm doing other things. So now let's look at the pattern. It says that at the end of row 9, fasten a pair of safety eyes, 5 mm. Safety eyes in between rows 5 and 6, leaving a few stitches in between the eyes. And then embroider the mouth in between rows 6 and 7 using black yarn or embroidery floss. So this is actually safety eyes. It comes with a pair of it comes with 2 of this black color eyes. You know, it looks like, you can see it's the eye. And then it comes with like a screw-like bottom together with this backing. This is what secures the safety eyes to the crochet door. Okay, so some people prefer not to use safety eyes because they don't want anything that has a risk of dropping and then letting kids put it inside their mouth accidentally and get choked. So it's like choking hazard. But for us, I think it's less of a concern considering that we are actually giving these positive potatoes to the P5 kids and also the P6 kids. So but it's really up to you. Some people just don't like to embroider eyes because they are, you know, sometimes it's not consistent and then you have one big eye and one small eye, and then yeah, you will have a funny looking potato because of the eyes. So so I'm going to use the eyes, but the thing about using safety eyes is you have to do it while crocheting. You cannot do it at the end when you actually fill it up and close it up, because you need to secure the eyes with the backing. So we'll have to do it midway, which is what we are doing now. And after that, I'm going to show you how to embroider the mouth as well. So what I usually do is I find that, you know, I usually use yarn. And then what I do is usually what we're using to crochet now is actually a 5-ply, so there will be actually 5 smaller strands. This one is a 4-ply, so you can see that there is 1, 2. Okay, I'll show you. Can you see the 4 strand here? Okay, can you see them? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 smaller strand of yarn in one of this. So what I usually do is actually I'll only use 2. So, you know, like embroidery floss, you will actually take however many strands of yarn floss you need for your cross stitch, embroidery and everything. So we're going to do the same. So I will just take 2 and then I'll just pull apart. Sometimes it takes a little bit of detangling actually. So yeah, so this is how it will look. I don't like to use thicker ones because it makes the feature look very heavy. So for embroidering in crochet dolls, you have you can use either a needle metal one with a bigger eye at the needle, or else you can use the plastic ones, you know. So it's either way it will work. So I'm going to show you how to do the eyes first. So usually I will actually do it at the opposite side of my joints, because this joint here is not exactly the invisible joint. There is a method whereby when you join the rounds, it's going to not leave a single trace. So they call it the invisible seam for joining the rounds. But it's a little bit more steps, and I think for beginners this is actually fine, so long as you actually do the last slip stitch holding your yarn fairly taut. It will actually be okay. So I usually do it usually do the eyes on the other side, okay, on this side. And then how you count the rows is actually, this is the first row, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 is actually these two rows, and then they say in between means is this gap. So what you do is it 6 and 5. So I'm just going to randomly put one in first. So what you do is you put one eye inside, in between 5 and 6, 5 and 6, okay, in between. So then you make sure it's inside, and then on the inside you will have this screw-like thing, right? So what you do is your backing, push it inside. Okay, so you see this is how you push it in to secure. So on the front it looks like this. Can you see? Okay, and the instructions say leave a few stitches in between to you know, you can't have your eyes side by side, right? You are not cock-eye, right? Anyway, it's going to look very weird if I put, let's say I show you. So, you know, can you imagine I put my eyes like this? So, I mean, it's up to you, of course, how far apart you want them to be. Some people who do kawaii crocheting, they will say that, you know, the further apart, it looks cuter. So, you know, but they say a few stitches, so you can count 1. This is 1, 1, 2, 3. So let's say we put at the 4th, because my English teacher say anything less than 2 is not called a few. So yeah, okay, so now this is 4 stitches. This is the 4th stitch, so there's 3 stitches in between. So this is how it looks. If you want it even further, of course you can do this. I mean, so long as you haven't actually secured the backing. So like, let's say this, yeah. So you can have it like this as well, and then your mouth is in between. So either way. So if you are happy with how wide it is, then you can actually attach the backing. But I think I would want it to be at about 4 or 5. It really depends on personal preference, and you don't need to do the same for every single potato. I mean, they're all supposed to be unique potatoes, you know, for each unique boys that we are giving it to. So make sure you secure both of them, because the moment you actually crochet more and then start filling up, you will not be able to change this. So now my potatoes has eyes. Okay, so next thing, we're gonna do the mouth. So usually I will actually secure a knot at the end, And then usually I will actually go like maybe about diagonally across by one stitch, one crochet stitch. So you go from the back. Okay, the thing about using such sharp, this kind of sharper needles is that you might go in between. You might poke through the yarn in the sense that, you know, let me show you how it works. So you might be poking in between, like barbecue, separating the yarn, which some people don't like it, so some people like to use a bigger one. Okay, it's really up to you. There is no right or wrong. It's really how comfortable you are with whatever needles that you're using. So I will show you with the red needle here because it's brighter, so you can see it better. So again, we're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna start here. So okay, don't pull it too tight. Usually I'll leave a small tail, even though I have a knot, but I'll leave a small tail over there. And then I will actually end about here, my mouth. I mean, you just have to look balanced. Let's see whether it balances and is equal distance from both sides. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think. Okay, so let's say you think that it's not really balanced. You want to move further. You can just you know, pull this, and then it will come up. So let's see. I'll show you. I take it out, and then I pull it. Ta-da! So anyway, so let's see if I want it a bit further. Let's see. How about here? You think it's gonna be too close? Let's see. I know I think my camera is a bit too low, so sometimes it's a bit low. I'll try to focus. So now it's a little bit closer to this side, right? If you're not bothered with it, then you can just proceed to the next step. If you are very OCD about, you know, the spacing, it must be equal, then you can actually, what you can do is actually undo the whole thing and then do a new starting. Okay, it's really up to you. I mean, how particular or how neat you want them to be. But to me, sometimes I feel that, you know, the beauty in handmade things is that, you know, it's not perfect, and not every one of them will be the same, because we're not factories, right? We're not machines. Okay, so I've decided that this is how it's going to look. Okay, and then of course we don't want to have sulky potatoes to encourage our boys. We are supposed to let them stay positive, right? So we're going to make it smiley. So some people will tell you that, you know, all you need to do is do a V-shaped kind of mouth, but then you will have a potato that has a V-shaped mouth and not a curly smiley mouth. So what I like to do is I'll find the center, I'll poke through over here, there about. I mean, you don't need to be very precise, not like science, you know. And I'm going to hook it down. Okay, you see it? It's actually smiling now. Can you see? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put through again through they're about the same hole, because now you have the top here that hold it down, so you know it will not be undone in that sense. And then you just got to adjust it a bit. So if, let's say, you're happy with this, then yes, you are good to go. If you're not, then the same thing is you can undo this, and then pull up from the back. Okay, I think I'm just going to, it's not really center, but then come on, I'm not going to make my potato look perfect. So what we're going to do is, so long as you're happy with the features. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to secure the ends by weaving it a bit, by going through some of the stitches that we have. Okay, so this is the mouth, and I'm just going to tuck everything. I'm just going to tuck the tail inside. I'm not going to touch it. So that even the tail, I'm going to just stuff it inside before I continue. So you can just hold them in so that it doesn't interfere with how you're going to continue crocheting. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and then we'll have another video on how to continue with row 10 onwards.